Welcome and thank you for joining us for our final breakout session of the day, Expanding Manufacturing Skills, Why You Need Arts Talent. I have the pleasure today of introducing our final two speakers, Shannon and Mary Beth. Shannon is a Program and Operations Support Officer at the Trillium Network for Advanced Manufacturing. Prior to joining the Trillium Network, Shannon graduated with a BA and MA in Labor Studies from McMaster University, where her experience in FCA's people and development led her to concentrate on automotive manufacturing employment. Her research interests include recruitment, retention, and development practices rooted in equity and inclusion. Our co-presenter today is Mary Beth Davies. She is a business developer and talent specialist at the University of Waterloo. She has been helping companies across Canada access top art student talent and specializes in supporting organizations hire art students and helping them navigate the hiring process to find the right talents for their unique needs. I'd encourage you throughout the session to add any questions you may have into the chat panel on the side. Over to you, Shannon and Mary Beth.
Thanks, Emily. So today I would like to speak a bit about why the manufacturing sector actually needs art students. First, hi, I'm Shannon. I'm a program officer with the Trillium Network for Advanced Manufacturing, and I'm also an arts graduate myself. So we're all very familiar with the labor shortage that exists within the broader labor market, but specifically within manufacturing, and the fact that people generally don't choose manufacturing as their first choice. But now we're facing this very strange paradox where there's high unemployment alongside an increase in job vacancies. In Ontario manufacturing specifically, within the last year, job vacancies have increased 42%. And usually when manufacturers try to solve that, there is a focus on skilled trades, which is important, but we would like to talk a bit about a more unconventional method of meeting their labor force goals. So the focus is on art students for today. And when I'm talking about art students, I mean both those in the fine arts, so the visual artists, but also students or graduates from the humanities, so English and history, and also the sociocultural sciences, so economics, psychology, gender, health, and labor studies as well. Visual artists in particular, they have these really strong conceptual and creative skills that are very useful to manufacturing. A couple examples from my own network include a graphic designer that works for a packaging manufacturer, and another who both designs and builds large-scale A-frame signs for a sign manufacturer in Ontario. And outside of that, a lot of art students within their programs, they're encouraged to have an interdisciplinary learning style and also learn how to become adaptable and to be strong critical thinkers and holistic problem solvers, which is extremely important to not only look at an issue and understand it, but also to understand the broader context around that issue. So art students are in a range of jobs within manufacturing, both as production artists, graphic designers, they work in HR, they work in marketing, business analysis, government relations. So there's a place for them within manufacturing. The sector just needs to be deliberate about developing opportunities to attract and keep them. And looking at some of the trends that kind of shape why we need them, the fact that we do focus on skilled trades again is important. But within manufacturing, we hear a lot of talk about innovation and Industry 4.0 and being adaptable and preserving our ecosystem and being able to reshore Canadian manufacturing. And I think that that innovation also has to apply to the workforce. The sector needs people that can both see the issues that exist within manufacturing and also understand the broader context. And art students would function as a bridge between the more technical aspects of manufacturing work and the people-focused elements. So they work to round out the workforce. Other sectors like tech and finance have already figured this out and are doing the work to attract and retain their arts workforce. Considering the labor shortage again, there are a few things that manufacturers have to be mindful of. Like for arts graduates, a lot of them, their employment situation is a bit more precarious. They're usually employed outside of their field of study. They typically earn less. Their job satisfaction is typically lower. And we heard in the initial session about the importance of meaningful work and breaking down what that means. Employers cannot define what meaningful work is for the employee. So it's defined by the employee. And meaningful work very often means not being alienated from the work that you're doing. So again, considering both the thing that you're doing and the broader context around it and understanding how it connects to everything that's being done. These are holistic problem solvers and they're trained as holistic problem solvers. And it's important to design jobs to reflect that and complement that and their work style, because that ultimately shapes both your ability to retain these employees and also your ability to retain your employees shapes your employee retention and the company performance. And there are other factors that play here, like being transparent both in the material that you present to people, your job descriptions, for example, also being transparent about your working conditions, your workplace culture, whether or not there are open communication channels between employees and who they're being supervised by, and whether or not there are development opportunities that show that the employer is not just interested in having this person come on board to complete the particular task they're brought in for, but that the employer is invested in developing in that space to remain in that space or even be open to other opportunities within manufacturing. So it is important that they come in and they are valuable and that they know that they are valued within the organization. So on that note, I will hand it off to Mary Beth, who will be able to explain a bit more in detail how that applies through Waterloo's talent pool.
Thanks so much, Shannon. Thank you all for being here with us today. We really appreciate this opportunity to connect with you. So I just wanted to mention, we do have a couple polls over in the polls section of our session. So we'd love if any attendees would be willing to fill those out. Just provides us with some valuable insights. So thanks so much for doing that. So we're just going to share some details around why hiring art students is really important for manufacturing. We know that they can contribute to manufacturing organization in a number of ways. So students really offer that fresh perspective, bringing new ideas to organizations. They propose creative and new ways of thinking. Their approach and attitude can inspire that culture of innovation that we're all looking for. And we know as the workforce changes with advances in technology, human-centered skills are more valuable than ever. And this is a point that I really like to drive home. Art students can really interpret technology and translate it to meet those human needs. So for marketing campaigns, developing compelling content for your website, driving your sales growth within your manufacturing organization. We also know our art students are highly adaptable and effective. They're highly motivated to learn, make connections, and make a positive impact in your manufacturing organization. Art students draw upon their diverse experience to look at challenges through a unique lens. They think critically and make connections to solve problems. So if we look sort of at our art students overall, we have about 2,400 art students enrolled in the cooperative education program in 29 programs across all arts disciplines. And what this means is that our art students can really bring a diverse skill set to your organization. So you may have an economics student, for example, who has a minor or is minoring in human resources. You may also have a student who's studying communications but is minoring in fine arts. So they really bring that diverse skill set to your organization. In terms of where they're working in manufacturing, our economics and our English students are the most frequently hired students. And for our arts students overall, they make up around 5% of all manufacturing sector employer hires. So of course, this is a number we'd love to grow. And we think there's a lot of great opportunities for our art students. Art students, like our regular co-op students, are available year-round for work terms that are 4 months in length, and in some cases up to 8 months. Okay, this is my favorite part. So when we really talk about those key skills that art students can bring to manufacturing, Waterloo art students can really support your brand position and design, develop and execute marketing campaigns, leading social media strategies, and developing content to promote your manufacturing organization. They can also seek new business partners and opportunities through business development and supporting your sales approach to garner those new customers that we know everyone's keen to bring in the door. They can take on complex business analysis and research to identify process improvements and provide data points to help your manufacturing organization develop business strategies. Art students can also support human resource and operational functions within manufacturing to ensure training, safety protocols and processes, and overall health and well-being support is in place for your staffing needs. If we look at those skills overall, art students are equipped with a range of skills. Most notably, their excellent communication skills to translate technical knowledge, their strong critical thinking, and they're perceptive and creative thinkers. the ability to utilize the project planning and organizational skills to bring fresh new perspectives and approaches to any organization. If we take a peek at some of our employers hiring in the manufacturing sector, we see that there is a great representation here in the automotive sector. So organizations like Toyota Motor Manufacturing, as well as Nissan Canada. We also have employers in the software and computer parts manufacturing sector. So BlackBerry, NCR Canada, for example. We also have some employers in the telecom, communications, and equipment manufacturing space. So Ericsson, Calix, JSI Telecom, just to name a few. And we've seen some growth in the food and beverage sector. So obviously you heard from one of our employers in the Pepsi space. We also have employers from Maple Leaf Foods, FGF Brands, etc. Another area where we've seen some growth is in the pharmaceutical and medicine manufacturing, so Bayer and Sanofi Pasteur. And this is certainly not an exhaustive list of all of our employers. This is just a small sampling of where we have art students employed in manufacturing. So if we take a closer look at some of those job roles for our art students, as I mentioned, some of the key job roles and areas where art students have been successful have been in marketing and communications. So those content and communications associates, digital marketing, as well as product marketing manager roles. We've also seen great success in the human resources and operational space. Sales and business development has really started to grow. So those sales strategy assistants and those business development roles, as well as supporting the customer experience overall. We've also seen growth in positions such as graphic designers, as Shannon mentioned, in government relations, and in those business analysis and research roles to really help manufacturers better understand their customer base and identify opportunities for brand growth. If we look at a few of the roles and responsibility that our art students are bringing to the manufacturing sector, Waterloo art students are able to conceptualize and execute marketing campaigns to position your manufacturing organization and promote brand growth and sales. They have exceptional communication skills to lead digital campaigns for your social media platforms, promoting your organization and growing your reputation on digital channels, which has never been more important than during the pandemic. Art students are strong collaborators. They're able to persuade and communicate. They really understand human behavior and other points of view, and they're able to analyze and think critically with creativity. Many art students really started in arts because they wanted to work with people and they genuinely enjoy working with others. They can provide superior customer service and conflict resolution skills to your manufacturing organization. So I just wanted to share a couple student profiles with you of our art students who are working in the manufacturing sector. So this is Vanessa. She's a second-year legal studies honors arts co-op student. She worked on site at Toyota in a co-op analyst, policy development, and performance management HR role. She actually ended up doing 2 work terms with Toyota. And while Toyota hires a fair number of art students, they also hire from our tech talent as well. So safety analysts, quality control engineering, and quality control engineering automation. This is one student profile that is of personal interest to me. Shariana is a student that I connected with during a networking session, and she actually completed her first work term while she was residing in India at the height of the pandemic, and she was hired by Calix, a communications equipment manufacturer, where she worked throughout her evening and her night as a content and copyright editor. And then she actually stayed on for a second work term as a content program specialist. And Calix actually hires a number of art students in product marketing, account management, and social media marketing roles, as well as some of our tech talent on the systems engineering, technical assistance, analytics, and decision science specialist roles. So that's just a little bit of an overview of where our art students are making an impact in manufacturing. And now we actually wanted to turn it over to some Q&A if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask.
Great. Thanks, Mary Beth and Shannon, for sharing those insights. There's definitely a space within manufacturing for arts talent, and we need to look beyond some of those traditional roles to ensure that we're creating diverse workforces across the facility. We do have one question here from our audience. What do you think is most attractive to an art student about manufacturing?
Sure. Do you want me to jump into that, Emily?
Either one is great.
Okay. Well, I think, manufacturing can really offer a range of opportunities for our art students. So you saw from both of the student examples that I shared that both of the students did stay on for a subsequent work term. So in terms of Vanessa's role in HR at Toyota, I think there were a lot of opportunities for her within the HR space. So both working on a recognition and rewards program, working on a lot of COVID policy development, as well as training opportunities within that position. And you also saw from Shariana's experience, there were a lot of opportunities for her to develop content and share that content with the external audiences. I also know Shariana spoke with me personally about the culture that she experienced at Calix. So that's what really resonated for her. I mean, you can imagine she was residing in India, working remotely, working throughout her evening. For Calix to have that strong of an impact on her experience, I think really speaks to the type of opportunity that she was able to secure as a first work term student. So anything you wanted to add, Shannon?
Yes. So a lot of the times for art students, and it came up in the very first session as well, being able to apply what you've learned to the workplace, it's a great opportunity to be able to do that. And within manufacture, where the focus is on improving that much, being able to participate in or even have ownership over certain projects is really, really important. And I think that that's a draw for a lot of art students, especially if, just like Mary Beth said, a lot of them get into the arts because they want to improve things in order to interact with or improve the situations for the people. That's the people that are working there, or the end user or the consumer of whatever product is being produced. So being able to participate in those projects and it being displayed and shared that you can participate in projects like that and contribute to them, I think would be really, that's a primary draw, or at least it's the draw for me and a lot of the people that I know.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Another great question here from Stephen. What examples could you give for a small manufacturer to create new roles for an art student?
Super. I can jump in there. I mean, I think we actually just profiled one of our smaller manufacturers, the KW Craft Cider, and they're an example of a smaller manufacturer who are really looking to hire those students into a variety of positions. I would say one area we've seen a lot of opportunities is in human resources. So providing sort of overall operational support, human resource support, mental health and well-being is an area where a lot of HR opportunities exist. And the other space where I would say there's some great opportunities is really in the digital marketing space. So it's never been more vital for organizations across all sectors to really do a great job of promoting their brand and building their reputation. And our art students can really bring a diverse skill set. So everything from graphic design, content development for a website or for external promotion, marketing campaigns, all of those spaces are great areas where art students are really contributing. The other space that I would say is we've seen some growth even in opportunities around diversity, equity, and inclusivity. So this has become an area where art students really have that experience about understanding human behavior, having that diverse skill set, and really wanting to support organizations in the work that's being done to make sure that they're being inclusive of their hiring and they're diversifying their talent pool. So those are sort of some of the key areas, but I think it really depends a little bit on your business needs. And that's where speaking with one of our business developers or an account manager to help you flesh out where are those opportunities. For smaller organizations, and Emily can speak to this is her area of expertise as well. I think really looking for some of those hybrid roles. So they may work on marketing campaigns and bring strong communication skills, but they may also be delivering on social media campaigns and other spaces. So looking for ways for smaller organizations to really leverage that skill set and come up with a really defined job description.
For sure. I'm glad you mentioned that point about the hybrid work. We know in a smaller organization, you can't just work on one thing. You as a owner or as an employee are wearing many hats already, and it's okay to ask the same of your students. It's a valuable experience for them to work in a smaller organization to really see what that type of workplace is about. Shannon, would love to hear from the industry side about the different types of roles for art student in smaller manufacturers that Trillium's may be working with.
So unfortunately, I have not heard a lot of discussion about hiring art students within manufacturing. A lot of the time, the focus is on bringing in people from the trades or business, but I do think that there is a lot of value there. And going back to the initial point about how SMEs in particular can be more open and creating opportunities for art students. Another thing is when you bring them on board, talk to them, create open communication channels, because, and it came up in the initial session again, I keep referencing it, but it was really, really good. The fact that they have all of these ideas and all of these connections that they're making as they're learning and taking in this information. You really never know what place an art student might be valuable within your organization until they have the opportunity to show up in that organization. So having open communication channels ready and being open to having them on board is the very first step, and the sky's the limit from there.
For sure, that open communication, that's one of the most essential things as an employer, is to set that up and provide that environment where students can come forward with an idea. Another great question here from John: what type of skills and training would an art student arrive with in regards to technical documentation and communication with engineers?
Well, that's a great question. I myself actually am an arts grad, and I worked in technical writing for some time. So I would say, they definitely bring strong interpersonal and communication skills. So they have a strong ability to really analyze text and content and then disperse that into either usable content for an online platform or as marketing content elsewhere. I think they also really have that strong understanding of human behavior as well. So, they're able to understand those complex technical ideas and then figure out how to distill those into meaningful content for an end user. So yes, of course, it does take a little bit of time. We're not saying that they come with, say, a technical skill set that an engineer would bring to the workplace, but they have that strong motivation to learn, and they're excellent communicators. So they really are able to take that information and distill it out in a way that's meaningful for your organization. Students, as I mentioned, there are 29 different academic programs, so they all bring a different skill set. We definitely see that art students bring a strong understanding of social platforms, ways to connect and engage with audiences. And they're very mindful of trying new things. So, one of the areas I mentioned is that understanding of being able to do research and assess data. And art students aren't always top of mind in this space. I know Emily and I have worked with a number of economics students, and we even we wouldn't have thought necessarily that econ students bring that data analysis skill set, but they really are able to distill that information and think critically through their courses. Mm-hmm. Anything else, Emily or Shannon, that you might want to add to the skills that art students are bringing?
I think a main thing here is they're coming with that ability to translate. Your engineers are the subject matter experts in the technical side of things, but getting that into the language that an end user is going to be able to use and understand, it's actually a really big benefit having somebody write that type of guide without having the full technical backgrounds. Because if they're able to take the technical information and translate it in a way that they understand it, your end user is going to be more able to actually digest the information at the end of the day. So I don't necessarily think that it's a negative that they might not come in with that full technical background. Shannon, I want to pull back to something you mentioned about the labor market. So one of the things I know we've talked about before is there's this huge population of workers that typically might have worked in something like tourism. How can manufacturers tap into this maybe less traditional talent pool for arts-related roles in their organizations?
So it starts with a slightly more open or transparent job description that also translates to the job design. So it's being clear about what the working conditions would be, what the workplace culture would be. Art students, they're trained to value very specific things, being open-minded being one of them, being holistic problem solvers, like I mentioned before. And so having that displayed as something that you value within your organization is very, very helpful in order to attract them from different areas. And also making sure that that carries over within your workplace culture. So again, making sure that there are open channels for communication, that you're engaging with your employees to know what their suggestions for improvements might be. That is very, very helpful in order to ensure that you can attract and keep them there. It has to carry out and permeate your entire organizational culture to show that you value them.
Great. Yeah, there's so many individuals out there that are actively looking for work. And I think collectively we can do a lot to ensure that manufacturing is an industry of choice. Whether students are coming from an engineering background, from a business background, or from an arts background, There's endless potential within the manufacturing sector. And the more we talk about things like the culture within a manufacturing organization and the values, the more transparent we are to that next gen of talent that's going to be our future workforce. Mary Beth and Shannon, I want to thank you for your insights today. I think this is the start of a much larger conversation around how we can really engage art students in the manufacturing sector. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. If you have additional questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we can follow up after the event. The expo booths and networking will still be live for a few more minutes if you haven't had a chance to check them out yet. The left-hand nav bar on the side of your screen will allow you to connect with our funding partners, Office of Research, and co-op staff, along with networking with attendees. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to continued conversations about making the manufacturing workforce stronger together.